Hey guys, Maron here. Today I'm going to be doing the iPhone 5C4 review. But before I say anything else, this review is long overdue, but it took me quite a while to figure out what I'm going to do with this phone. And also, I have a brand new gaming channel. If you guys want to subscribe there, it's in the description below. There's also some construction going on, so there's going to be some noise in the background. But that said, let's get the video started with. From its polycarbonate finish to the blue color, polycarbonate is plastic, but still, it's a pretty solid feeling phone. The iPhone 5C is 100% plastic. There is no metal to be seen whatsoever. Sometimes it does get slippery due to the lack of metal or any actual physical sides to hold because it is made of full plastic, but still, it's a pretty solid feeling phone. I cannot complain how Apple put so much detail into something that's less than $300 now, but still at the time it was pretty expensive. The rumors were true. Apple was supposed to make a cheap plastic phone, but at the end, at launch date, it was a plastic phone, but it wasn't cheap. At launch date, it was around $500 off contract. Still, it was pretty expensive, but what Apple could have done is made it free on contract in the first place. And yeah, but now it's free. But now you can't even get it from the Apple Store. Right now, the iPhone 5S is free on contract. But still, the iPhone 5C is just an iPhone 5 in a cheaper build. On the front, you have a 1.2 megapixel FaceTime HD camera. On the bottom, you have a earpiece, and on the left, you have all your sensors and proximity sensors, well, sensors in just themselves. On the bottom, you have a single home button. What's special about this home button is this is the last ever iPhone. See, I told you there's some construction. This is the last ever iPhone to have a square on the home button. So yeah, it's pretty special to me. On the bottom, you have a lightning cable from, the iPhone 5. On the left, you have a 3.5mm headphone jack, and on the right, you have a pretty bassy speaker. On the back, you have an 8-megapixel iSight camera, good for photos, good, not great. Next to it, you have a microphone and a flash. On the top, you have a single power button, which is pretty tactile, pretty good feedback and travel. And on the other side, you have your volume up, volume down, and a single switch. And what I like about this switch is it can mute the entire phone in a flick of a switch, and it gives you a haptic feedback just to say that the silence mode has been activated. So you can just click it and it'll vibrate, and it's a pretty quick vibration. I really do like it. But yeah, it's a pretty simple build, like volume down, mute the entire phone, power, and a single home button in the front. So yeah, it's a pretty good build. And the charger is reversible, so Android, you gotta keep up. On the front, you have a 4-inch display. I'm not going to call it anything great or gorgeous. Viewing angles are excellent, and it's a pretty good looking display, but something like a Galaxy Note 5 or an LG G4's display can clearly outclass it. Since it's 4-inch, it's very easy to grasp everything in the screen, especially for my large hands. Like you can see it in my hands. But yeah, so it's a pretty good feeling phone. I wouldn't say that, it's the best phone on the planet, especially with its battery life. Like, since the iPhone 5C is so thick, I really would have hoped that it had a bigger battery life, or bigger battery life in general. But still, it doesn't give what it's supposed to. But now with iOS 9 and its brand new battery saving feature, where you can activate that by going into settings, scrolling down, and you'll see a battery icon, and then you can turn on low power saving. So yeah, and also on the bottom, it also gives you all the, apps that has been taking up energy in the last 24 hours or 4 days. But still, with iOS 9, hopefully the battery life increased. But if you guys want to know what the iPhone 5C is good at, it's good at being slippery, and it feels like a very expensive toy. In my opinion, I really think Apple could have made it a little bit better feeling in the hand. But again, I cannot complain that it is plastic, and it already feels great for plastic. But I believe Apple could have done better, at least to add metal buttons to the side or something like that. But Apple, come on, Apple. But they did make it pretty well, and I cannot complain with that, especially with the display. The display looks pretty good. If anyone told me that if it was Quad HD display, I would have believed them. And with such a simple build, you cannot complain. And iOS has always been one of the most simplest operating systems to date. You have no app drawer and just a icon of apps, just kind of like widgets. And when you tap on them, it launches you into the app. So as you can see, if I tap on settings, it's going to zoom in. And if I click the home button, it's going to take me back out. And the home button is kind of very important to the iOS. So if you double click it, it's going to take you to the multitasking slide. And then if you hold it down, hold her down, it's gonna take you into Siri. If you guys don't know what Siri is a voice activated assistant. It's kind of like Google Now and Cortana, but it's kind of better than them in just a way. So you can ask them things like, Siri, what's the weather in my location? Let go of the button and it tells you the weather.
Okay, here's the weather between today and the 21st of October, 2015.
So it's pretty good at recognizing your voice, but it still could be a lot better. But iOS 9 added a whole slew of features. All the way to the left, you have this new page. It's kind of like Google. It's kind of like Google's Google Now, or HTC's Bling feed, or Samsung's My Magazine. But still, it does a pretty good job of giving you location-based notifications, and location-based, information and things like that. You have Siri suggested apps and contacts. You also have nearby places like you can go to dinner, gas, shopping, or bars, and it gives you news according to where you are. So it's okay. Swiping down from anywhere on the screen, you activate Spotlight search, which is better than ever. So I can go like cat pictures or cat pictures. Never mind, that's on the iPhone. That's on the other iPhone. Never mind. Okay. So yeah, it's pretty good. Makes it a lot more snappier. Siri looks like something that it would look like on an Apple Watch. And it's okay. Like, I wouldn't say it's groundbreaking. Like, it's the same thing, just a different skin. But still, Apple made a pretty good operating system. I wouldn't say it's the best operating system, but many people could disagree with me. But what people say, most people say that Apple falls behind in the camera department because every single other iPhone besides the iPhone 6s was clocked out at 8 megapixels. And this is 8 megapixels as well. It's the same exact driver or camera optics as the iPhone 5. And the iPhone 5 was one of the best shooters of the time, so it still could quite pack a punch, literally. So yeah, I haven't tested it out in deep. Like, I haven't taken too many pictures because this is a 16 gigabyte model. So yeah, wouldn't take too many pictures on a 16 gigabyte model or a review unit. But still, it's pretty okay shot. So the iPhone 5C camera is a 8 megapixel non-stabilized camera whatsoever. So there's no stabilization in the build, no digital, no optical, no nothing. Right next to it, there is a microphone that does some pretty good noise reduction, but I won't say like, it's the best in the planet. And the camera can suffer in low light, since it's such an old driver, but still, it's okay at adequate lighting, so you can get some pretty nice details out of this camera, but you shouldn't expect too much since it's 8 megapixels and it's a pretty old driver. But you can get some good dynamic range. Panoramas are okay, but iOS needs to fix with its stitching between the pictures in the same ISO. I really wouldn't recommend this camera or the iPhone 5C camera to, someone who came from an LG G4 or any other high-end camera that has manual controls, or probably someone who came back from the best camera in the industry, like someone who was in the LG G4's camera. I really wouldn't recommend this camera or the iPhone 5C for photo taking, but for FaceTime, it's okay with its 1.2 megapixel camera. But someone coming from, again, the LG G4 with its 8 megapixel camera wouldn't enjoy this too much. Now there's one question remaining. Who is this iPhone for? Is it for the person who deserves a lot of power? Does this iPhone have a lot of power in its sleeve? Does it have one of the most high-end processors? The A5 chip is kind of like the same power as an iPod 5th generation. The 6th generation has a better camera. This does not have any slow motion, but still, it's kind of like a very expensive iPod that can call. So yeah, for a power user, I really wouldn't recommend this phone. If you're someone who, wants to get a non-expensive iPhone for the first time, or is just going into the first time of, smartphones, or just someone who wants to use an iPhone, this phone, I recommend it. Yes, I would. Is it for someone, who wants to take the best pictures out there, or the best high-end stabilized video out there? No, I wouldn't recommend it. But if there's someone who wants to use Apple's ecosystem of the App Store and the iTunes Store, yes, I would recommend it. It's one of the best app stores out there. Like, Google is the best, period. But Apple's App Store can pull out a lot of apps. They both have the same apps. But still, will I recommend it for, the perfect person who wants the best display? No, I wouldn't. But for someone who's, or a parent going into something that just works, yes, I would recommend this phone. But for anyone else, I really wouldn't recommend it. Out of 5 stars, I would probably give it a 3 for performance. But in day-to-day use, I really don't see too much lag. But the place where it does suffer the most, in my opinion, is when you're drawing down spotlight search. But still, but for someone who really wants a phone that just works, this phone would do perfect for, like, I know many people who use this phone. I see this phone more often than the iPhone 5s because, the iPhone 5s is more expensive. But still, if someone who wants a non-expensive iPhone that just works and has all the features that an iPhone does, this is probably the best iPhone to buy. Or you can just wait for the 7 and get the iPhone 6. But whatever, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe. And again, I do have a brand new gaming channel linked in the description below. So if you guys want to see gamings, I do mobile gaming, things like that. But still, if you guys want to see more gaming videos on that channel, please go subscribe there. And with that said, I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Peace out.